Hey ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. As always, it is Nick here, back with your daily crypto news and analysis. And today we're going to be talking about why we are basically marching into one of the biggest bull runs that we've ever seen. Also, I'm going to be talking to you guys a little bit about what's happening in the market from an overall standpoint and why I think that this is realistic. So with that being said, let's just jump into it and let's get into it. So overall, when we refresh the market right now, things look a little stable. Things have been consolidating for a little bit since pretty much almost the beginning of September. We are down about 1.25%, nothing too crazy. Still sitting around that $2.10 trillion market cap at about 2.11. And as well, right, when we're looking at the market, we see all of these altcoins just kind of sitting at the prices that they were at in the beginning of the month. You know, it's annoying to see it. You know, things are consolidating. It's not exciting. It's sort of boring. It's almost like watching paint dry. But listen, you know, this has given us that opportunity to accumulate a little bit more and more. A lot of people get paid bi-weekly or so. So, you know, right now, you know, a lot of people are most likely, you know, accumulating behind the scenes while things are sitting stable. That would be the smart move, right? You know, accumulating on the low on these dips. I wouldn't necessarily buy altcoins that are, you know, severely up. Like, for example, I would not be buying Solana, but that's just my overall standpoint. Now, in regards to what's happening in the market, let's go check out Bitcoin. So, as you guys already know, and I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about this. So, I said that we could be seeing a little bit more uphill, you know, momentum from the 7-day span going back to this point here, which is almost our topping point. Okay? And that played out perfectly. We are back in the upward momentum. Now, this upward momentum, and as you guys see, we're following pretty much the 50-day MA. But when we look at that upward momentum, this could last 112 days from the 13th of September. So right now, I'm actually watching the 27th of September. I've been watching that date very specifically because I think that that could be the next turning point for the crypto market. Now, that is obviously nearly one whole week away from tomorrow, but this is 112 days of uphill momentum for Bitcoin, which would lead us to the topping point being around January 3rd. I know, crazy. A lot of people are calling for a lot shorter. They're saying that it's going to top in November, around December, and that's totally fine. That's logical. I'm not saying that it's guaranteed to top around this pinpoint. I'm actually going to tell you guys exactly why I think that we will most likely top around that point as well. So with that being said, let's go back in the past. First off, let's go to the weekly chart. So overall, if you guys have been listening to my channel or watching my channel for a little bit of time, you would understand why these dates here are actually here. But for anybody who is new, we're going to go back and actually address this. So if we look back at the 2017-2018 bull run, this was very specific in regards to what was actually happening throughout the topping point from the bottoming point in September. So in September, it took about 21 days to get back on the uphill momentum. And realistically speaking, from the pinpoint when we really kind of started to move, let me go back, sorry. It took roughly about, and let me move this, about 28 days to get back to this point, but I'm going to go to the bottoming out point. So from the topping point to the bottoming out point, 21 days exact. Then from the bottoming out day to the topping point, it was about 84 days. Fairly simple to understand, nothing too crazy there. But if we go back to the 2013-2014 cycle, and let's zoom in here a little bit, sorry, let me zoom out. Okay, so overall, from the bottoming point here, and we could actually move the percentage off of this chart. So we see 35 days from the overall topping point to the bottoming point, and then from the bottoming point to the topping point, it was about roughly 56 days. So did you notice something different there? Let me zoom out and let me just show you guys what is happening on the chart here. So if you actually see what's happening, we go from 35 days from the topping to bottoming point to 21 days. So a change of roughly 14 days. Then the 56 days to 84 days of that, you know, uphill momentum. So roughly a change of nearly 30 days. It's roughly about 28 days increase. So overall, if we do that same pattern, and say for so the topping to bottoming point is different, which I think is, considering the fact that I did the charting up here. Sorry, let me zoom in. So we did the charting. It was 7 days to get back into the uphill momentum. Okay, and we could zoom in and actually look at that from the overall chart. So we bottomed out on this 7-day span, but we also topped or started to top a little bit on this 7-day span back here. So I'm going off the topping point to the bottoming point, which was realistically in the same weekly candle, but we could go from the daily just to show you guys that. So the bottom stage was basically this candle here. I know this one is longer, but this is where we pretty much sat stable and pretty much flatlined. And then we obviously see from this bottoming point to where we are a little bit now, it's been a little bit of an uphill momentum. So if we go off of this and say for so we do the 14-day difference from the 21-day span from the original bottoming point to the beginning of the uphill momentum, basically it would be 7 days. Then from the bottoming stage to the topping point, as it increased nearly 30 days, it was roughly 28 days, and we do 28 plus the 84, we would get to 112. And yes, I know that that is not purely, technical, but I'm following the structure, and the structure is saying that the bottoming to the topping point is actually lengthening a little bit, and the topping to the bottoming stage in September is actually shortening. So we would have a shorter, bottoming stage because we already had that major drop, which that's what those percentages were. We already had this major correction going back to April to May, which if we go back to the other cycles, it was actually a shorter percentage, which meant a longer, drop in September. And by the way, in 2017, 2018, the bottom end point or the pullback that happened in around the summertime was actually more than 2013, 2014, which I think is what led to a shorter, bottoming stage in September. So realistically, this pullback allowed us to have a shorter consolidation point in September, and now I think that we are on our uphill momentum for the 112 days of uphill, battle, if you will, with Bitcoin. Now, why do I think that this is going to be the most monumental bull run in crypto history? Well, I've talked about the topping points for Bitcoin. I say that we could see 85 to 95K. And I know a lot of people are going to say, well, no way, it's going to 100K plus. And I totally get that. I understand that we could see 100K plus. I'm just saying that I'm not getting my hopes up on that. And the reason why is I just don't think that there's going to be enough demand for Bitcoin to actually get it to those, $150,000 ranges. I think that we could touch 100K, possibly somewhere around 100 to 125K, but I'm settling on 85 to 95K. I'm not going to wait until some major targets are hit because I'm not going to get too greedy. That's just my overall standpoint on it. Again, you guys don't need to listen to where I think that it's going to top out at. That's just where I think that the prices will top out at. But overall, I think that we will have this nice 112 days of not consolidation, uphill momentum after consolidating for just a little bit of time. But this a little bit of time is totally fine. Plus, the 112 days isn't just all up, right? It could be sideways into uphill momentum, and it could just have a blow off top around October into November, topping out around somewhere between the end of November into the beginning of December, which would be totally fine going back to the same market cycles. But I still think that we have this little bit of a lengthening cycle, which isn't what other people think, because the lengthening cycle, a lot of people are calling for May or June or even August of 2022, which is totally fine. But I just don't think that we are playing into that cycle, because even going off of the pattern plays out perfectly in regards to what is happening or what has happened. So in regards to that, why do I think that it's going to be a major bull run? Well, because of institutional investors, So we do see here, Brevin Howard expands further into crypto as institutional interest jumps. Now, this is actually a hedge fund, which a lot of hedge funds have actually been moving into crypto. They've been adding, crypto to their balance sheets, especially even, Bitcoin, of course. Now, this is famous for its bets on macroeconomic trends. and have been among the most high profile of major hedge funds moving into the world of crypto. So when we talk about a lot of these, hedge funds moving into crypto, we're talking about billions of dollars first off. We even talk about, Kevin O'Leary saying that he wants to more than double his crypto holdings. Now this is on CNBC. I'm sure a lot more news like this will come out and get the normie investors jumping in on Bitcoin. Possibly, a lot of the people that get into Bitcoin, think that they listen to like people like Michael Saylor that are going to say, hey, you could turn $70 into $70,000 by just buying into Bitcoin now. Like, a lot of the normie investors don't really do their research, so who knows? They'll probably throw money into Bitcoin and allow it to get to, those high numbers, but I'm just not betting on that. But we also see, even more institutional money flowing into here, institutional investors now slowing down on Bitcoin. Here's how much they own. And this is, again, what I was talking about, right? They're most likely going to move more money into altcoins as well, as they do think that the ROI on other assets is more, higher than Bitcoin itself. But I still think, for what it's worth, I think even in regards to Grayscale, I think in regards to MicroStrategy with Michael Saylor, and even going back to Elon Musk and stuff, I think a lot of that news is going to come out and actually push Bitcoin to these major numbers. And when we talk about that, I think that this year is extremely different than the 2017, 2018, 2013, and 2014 bull run. Not in the pattern sense, but in how much money is actually in the market now. First off, we got to realize that we hit an all-time high on the crypto market cap. We're still sitting at about 2.11 trillion right now. Okay, so just imagine how much money will flow into this market over the course of the next 3 to 5 months, right? So, who knows what is going to happen, but in regards to how much money will flow in, I still think that we could see the highs of $5 to $7 trillion for the global crypto market cap. And I know a lot of people are going to call me crazy for saying that, but I still think that there's going to be a lot of money pouring in. Also, in regards to Bitcoin, I think that Bitcoin dominance will reach new all-time lows. And the reason why is because we already seen Bitcoin dominance this year bottom out at around almost 39.70%. And even if we go back to the old market cycle, and let me just actually go to the weekly just so it's easier to see. So overall, when we look at the past market cycle, we reached a bottoming out point at about 35.42%. Now that was during January of 2018. Ethereum dominance here was actually around the 30s. Also, even XRP was around the 30% as well. I think at some point in time, this bull run, okay? I think this bull run, we could see even the lows of 20s to even maybe 10 to like 20%. So, in regards to that, I think a lot of altcoins are going to see some very parabolic runs. I think Ethereum, for what it's worth, is going to hit possibly highs of 10K. I'm more so betting on about 7,500 to 10K. I think that is a good topping point. I know a lot of people are calling for 20K plus on Ethereum, but I still think that there's so much more money to flow into this market. The market looks fairly stable and strong. Even when we look at Ethereum right now, it's riding the 50-day MA similar to Bitcoin. So when we look at these, assets, I think that they are on their way up instead of on their way down. Now, of course, we need some more validation points to really make sure that we are back in a major bull run and not experiencing anything in terms of, a dead cat bounce, which I don't think we are. I think that Bitcoin and also Ethereum in this entire market is ranging for a major bull run. So with that being said, I hope that you all enjoyed this video. If you guys did, definitely leave a like, subscribe, turn notifications on. If you guys don't want more free content, you guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord down in the description below. As always, I hope that you all have a beautiful day or a beautiful night wherever you guys are in this beautiful world. This has been Nick. Peace out, guys.